80% of employee terminations are due to bad hires. And those bad hires tend to be around cultural fit. Companies do not define their cultures accurately and then do not assess the candidate to fit their culture.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 106. Are you doing all that you can to find the right career opportunity in the drone industry? If you ask today's guest, she would say there are things you can do to stand out above the rest. Cynthia Cauthan is CEO and founder of Transcendence UAS, a professional recruitment firm specializing in securing the most talented professionals and business leaders for the UAS industry. She has over 15 years of success in information technology, executive management search, client relationship management, business development, and project management. It's been said that in the next several years, the drone industry will create as many as 100,000 new jobs. For most first-time job seekers, the typical job search techniques, specialization, training, and networking will suffice. But for those seeking to advance into mid- and executive-level positions, the competition may be fierce, and you may need to differentiate yourself. At the same time, with the dynamic changes occurring in this fast-paced industry, choosing the right opportunity is paramount to achieving long-term success. That's where Cynthia comes in. She's here to talk about Transcendence UAS, the type of jobs that may be in most demand in the UAS industry, and how career seekers can find the right positions that maximize their value. Now, before we hear from Cynthia, I again want to thank everyone that has donated to my campaign on Patreon. Together with the one-time contributions, I am very close to meeting my first goal. You can join this effort and get some cool stuff by going to patreon.com/drone radio show. And now let's find out how working with a recruitment expert can help you enhance your career opportunities. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Cynthia to introduce herself.
My name is Cynthia Cauthan. I am the CEO of Transcendence UAS. We are a company that specializes in recruiting IT professionals and business executives for the drone industry.
Cynthia, when did you start Transcendence?
We started in January, so we're a very early stage company.
And how would you describe or characterize the services that you provide?
It's a combination of contract staffing. So if someone wants to augment their current staff with a computer vision engineer for maybe 6 months, they can do that. Mm-hmm. Or they can contract with me to find some permanent placements for them.
How long have you been involved in the career placement industry?
I've been involved in the IT industry for, we'll just say, several decades. Okay. So I've worked as a sales manager. I've built professional services teams, mm-hmm. and also managed IT staffing companies.
What prompted you to think about specializing in the drone industry?
As an entrepreneur, I'm always looking at what's the next wave and how can my skill sets be of value. Mm-hmm. And I started to look at the drone industry. I saw that over the next 5 years, there are going to be 100,000 new jobs. And I thought that this would be a great way to look at IT talent and how to help companies in the drone industry grow.
Now, do you handle primarily IT talent or a full range of job classifications for the industry?
I really want to leverage my value, which has been with IT professionals and then marketing executives, CIOs. I really understand the technology. I understand the business acumen.
So based on your experience and knowledge of the industry, what type of jobs do you see in demand on the horizon?
There are jobs in mobile technology, jobs around GIS, security, that is huge. Clearly machine learning, as well as artificial intelligence. And those are more of the technical jobs. And then you have jobs in project management, business analysis, and program management.
In your opinion, does the industry have enough people to fill those jobs?
I think that with the rapid growth, we're going to have to really look at STEM programs and help people understand what the career path is. There's also opportunity where people can leverage their current skill sets. So if you know GIS in the mining industry, then you know GIS in the drone industry. If you can program on an Android for a gaming company, then you can program on an Android for a drone company.
Let's talk about your company and the services it provides. How does it work?
It's a chicken and an egg. You want to have talent that you can then go to companies with and say, I have this talent. Is there a fit? And you want companies to say, hey, I'm looking for 10 programmers. Can you help me? Our value add is for both the employer and the consultant. We make sure that there's a cultural fit. So companies will do technical competencies. They will give people behavioral interviews to try to understand how they problem solve, but they never talk about cultural fit. 80% of employee terminations are due to bad hires, and those bad hires tend to be around cultural fit. Companies do not define their cultures accurately and then do not assess the candidate to fit their culture. And on the other hand, candidates also have to know what kind of culture do they thrive in and make sure that it's a good fit for them.
How does a person determine if a company's culture is right for them?
There are questions, and it can be anything from as simple as having a tour of the facility. If the employer says we value collaboration and everyone is sitting in a queue, that's a disconnect. And challenge the employer. Say, well, what do you value? People working alone? Do you value teamwork? If you value teamwork, people are sitting in queues. So that doesn't make any sense. You want to know what are the 3 behaviors that are critical to a company's success. How are operational and project goals set? And those answers will tell you what the company values, and also it's translated into how the company does its day-to-day business.
That's interesting. How do you work with applicants and hiring managers to achieve the right match?
We send both the candidate and the employer through a series of questions because we want to make sure that there's a cultural match before the employer meets the candidate. And then they can have a much more in-depth conversation about the culture because now they know something about each other. Once a candidate has been chosen to join a team, we partner with a company called the Forte Institute that has a report that the candidate and the manager can take a test. It's really simple, 5-10 minutes. And it talks about within the 90-day period, what does that candidate need to be successful? How should their environment be built? What kind of support will they need?
Is the drone industry different from any other segment of the tech industry?
I would say that the culture is very different. If you look at the history of IT and its growth, the drone industry is really in its infancy. And so it's kind of like the Wild West. People are doing their own things. There aren't a lot of standards. For people with my craft who are trying to break into the industry, it's hard because it's still more of a network where people are not saying we need a professional staffing group to help us with this.
When you hear that, what is the value that you feel you bring to either the employer or to the industry that would help them change their mind?
I would say besides making sure that there's a cultural fit with the candidate, it's really understanding the technology, the competitive environment that the companies are in, and the regulatory environment. And so it's really building a partnership and building a vision with the company. Our goal is not to place one or two candidates, but to build lifelong partnerships.
How about when you conduct an executive management search? Does it complicate the search for an executive when companies themselves are under so much change?
It does complicate it, and it complicates it because people think that they need a certain niche. So if you're looking for a VP of marketing, most CEOs are thinking, I need a VP of marketing from the drone industry. And I want them to take a broader look, take a step back, look at the composition of their team. What kind of talent do they need to really fill that out from a personal standpoint, professional standpoint? What are like industries that a VP of marketing could have come from to bring novel ideas?
At the executive management level, is this a good time for someone to enter the industry?
Now's the time to do it. I would encourage anyone to break into the industry now. I have a database of 600 companies, and I would say that 90% are seeking to hire talent, both from the technical side as well as the managerial executive side. So now is a fabulous time, and it's only going to get better.
As a new business trying to break into this segment of the industry, are you getting a lot of resistance from companies?
I think that it's starting to wane. One thing is I'm going to more conferences, and my business is a people business. And so when I can meet with people face to face, it makes the follow-up easier. And now they know who's on the other end of the phone. I would say that a couple of months ago, I generated the first report of IT salaries in the drone industry. And so people can go on my website and they can download that report at no cost. And that's had a really good reception. My goal is that at every customer contact, I want to give something of value. And this report really hit that spot.
So is there good news in the report?
Salaries are going up. And if you look at competing industries, the drone industry is paying somewhat more. And I think that gap is going to increase. You know, I would add, we've been talking about various careers, and they've been basically college-focused, bachelor's degrees, master's degree, PhD. There's a sector where someone with a 2-year associate's degree can thrive and build their own business, and that's around the maintenance of drones. And so someone who has taken a course, how to build a drone, how to repair a drone, will be able to write their own ticket. You know, if you think of it as plumbers, people who put tile in the house, they write their own ticket now because there aren't enough craftsmen.
Now, some people are not actually looking for a job, but are hoping to start a business. You mentioned to me offline the importance of putting together a strong business plan. Can you share your experience?
I have put together many business plans, but I took a different tack with the plan for Transcendence. And it took about 7 months to really go through about 4 drafts. And what I found is that when you start a company, you really want to know what your value add is and what is your differentiator, what's going to set you apart. And by doing several drafts, I was really able to hone that in from just looking at drones and the IT industry to looking at drones and looking at what are the commercial application for the drone industry. And that has really given me a niche. And then looking at within that niche, how can I add more value? And that's how I came up with the cultural fit and doing that research. I am fortunate that I live in Madison, Wisconsin. It's home to a world-class research institution, UW-Madison, and they have a small business development center where any resident of the state can get help with their business plan. And they were phenomenal because they were able to give me the benchmarks of the finances for staffing companies. So I can then build my plan and understand what percentage of the marketing plan should come from the revenues, what percentage of insurance should come from revenues. And that was key. So when I go to bankers, all of that is just solid. So I would encourage anyone, if there's a small business development center, to really use them. And not only was I able to get the business planning acumen, but the support that I received from the UW-Madison Small Business Development Center is just top-notch.
Do they provide feedback and then help you test your hypothesis?
Absolutely. It's constant challenging. And as an entrepreneur, we tend to think big. So when we think about revenues, they would say that's too aggressive. Even when I thought I was being conservative. And so I really had to cut my revenues in half and think about, well, how do I restructure my business now? And they were right. And I'll get a phone call and someone will just say, like, how's your plan going? Are you going out and meeting people? You came to the Drone Focus conference. I had some goals to achieve of people to meet, to make sure that I have that support and I'm meeting my goals.
I know it's early, but has the experience of the first 4 months been pretty much what you had prepared yourself for?
It's been really positive in that people I have talked to and met have been really supportive. People, CEOs have said, give me a call. We're not ready to hire now, but let's get to know each other. And when we're ready to ramp up, we'll give you a shot. People have just been so willing to help and to make introductions. And that really is the key, is to expand one's network. And as an entrepreneur, the hard part has been having my goals, keeping what is a priority in focus, because you're juggling 1,000 balls and there are lots of opportunities, but it's important to know what's important to move the business along, because you always have to move the needle. And in sales, business development, you always want to be cold calling and building a pipeline.
So is this the first business launch for you?
I've launched several businesses, but this is the first one that has been part of my passion, which is to give something of service to the drone industry, to give something of service to my customers. I'm a lifelong learner. I love technology and the applications of the drone industry where we haven't even started to be at the top of the iceberg. It's just going to be crazy.
Is your business such that I would find job listings on your site, or would I submit my name and work directly with you in securing an opportunity?
It's much more personable. So I would want the job seeker to call me. They can send me an email, tell me what they're thinking about, and I will call them back personally. For the company, we'll talk about what they're trying to do, what is the talent that they're looking for, and what is the culture. Anyone can put job stuff on their website, but companies are looking at the value add. If you can put something on LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster, you don't need me, right? Just do it yourself. And so the value add is really honing in on the technical skills and the cultural fit.
That makes a lot of sense, because as you know, these days, there are so many automated ways for people to apply for a job, and everyone is asking, how do I make myself stand out? Sometimes you have to do something that takes you out of that system. And having someone like yourself to talk to personally might be one way to do that.
You are so right. And often I find that with recruiters that are generalists, they really don't understand what the technology is. And so they'll give hiring managers resumes of candidates that are just not a good fit. And it's a waste of time for the hiring manager. It means that there are more delays to their projects.
So Cynthia, as we wrap up, looking out a few years into the future, what do you hope people will say about their experience in working with you?
I hope that they'll say what my other customers have said, that I have brought people something of value at every interaction, that I follow through and really committed to their success and their goals. My customers will tell you I have a lot of integrity, and they'll smile and say I have a great sense of humor. So I hope that as I build partnerships, relationships, that in 4 or 5 years, people will say the same thing.
In addition to what we just heard from Cynthia, I thought it would be of value to hear what other CEOs thought about hiring new employees. So I dug through some of my podcasts. Let's first hear from Sean Mueller of Botlink, as he describes the skills he thinks are in most demand in the industry.
I know software is going to rule this industry. Software is definitely going to rule this industry. Of course, hardware, enables the software, but software is really where it's at. So if you have a really great skill set within software and some aviation experience, like if you're a pilot, that's really what's going to set you apart. So having that knowledge of how drones work, how you can feasibly use them, is really going to set you apart.
J.D. Claridge of Xcraft talks about the need for employees to have a passion for the work they want to do, in addition to the necessary skill sets.
Well, I think there's something to be said for just having a passion for this space, for UAVs, for aircraft in general, and for everything that surrounds that. So for me, that's what I look for, is that passion and that drive and that inner fire that pushes people to do great things. As far as skills are concerned, those are all over the map. I think we could use people with excellent developer skills, assembly skills, hands-on building, flying and operating. Obviously, we need sales and marketing people. So I think it's whatever your passion is, pursue that. And I think there is going to be a place for you.
Michael Monick of DroneSec, a drone security company, talks about how the dynamic nature of the industry is fueling a demand for talent that doesn't readily exist across the broader industry at this time.
I partnered up with another organization called Cybersec People, and the organizer there, Ricky Burke, he started working with me to try and find companies, the best people who might want to work in the drone security industry. Now, there's no kind of requirements out there for this. There's no, guidelines for what you need to know. And so it really is this kind of future job kind of thing where people have no idea what to expect.
And Alan Katia of Animal Dynamics talks about the need for today's IT designers to have a hands-on working knowledge of the systems that will be mass-produced.
What's happened over the last, I guess it's almost a generation, is that the students have been more and more weaned off making things and weaned onto modeling things on computers. A lot of the computational stuff is very, very useful, but it's a great pity that people are not encouraged to make things, and also encouraged to learn how very, very difficult and unforgiving the world of making things actually is. Stuff looks beautiful in CAD, very often doesn't work at all when you try and make it. And understanding how to bridge that gap is something that is not being taught enough at the moment. And we're certainly noticing that in the people we recruit, that it's hard to find people who've got the kind of hunger to figure out how things actually work physically.
These perspectives provide a little insight into the kind of decisions made by hiring managers. They can also provide some insight into the overall employment recruitment process, which could help you as you plan your UAS career strategy. That's it for episode 106 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Cynthia Cauthan of Transcendence UAS and gaining some new perspectives that may help you in your UAS career development. I want to thank Cynthia for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Transcendence UAS or want to connect with Cynthia, check out the website at transcendence-uas.com. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1 per month, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to patreon.com/Drone Radio Show. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.